I've gone through bouts of depression just because you feel so swamped.
I almost had an emotional breakdown.
There have been 6 suicides in our school district.
And it doesn't stop in high school. Depression and suicide rates in college students keep increasing every year. Fact: suicide is the 3rd leading cause of death for youth between the ages of 10 to 24.
And the tears come streaming down your face when you lose something you can't replace. Could it be worse?
She found nursing and found that nursing was something that she really related to and she wanted to do. And she decided the pediatric nursing was the thing that she wanted to do. When she made a medication error in the clinical area, she got it in her head that she wasn't going to be able to do pediatrics and everything was lost. And so she chose to take care of the pain she was feeling by ending her life.
So you want to get a degree. Why? Let me tell you what society will tell you. It increases your chances of getting a job, provides you with an opportunity to be successful. Your life will be a lot less stressful. Education is the key. Education is about inspiring one's mind, not just filling their head. And take this from me, because I'm an educated man myself, who only came to this realization after countless nights in the library, with a can of Red Bull keeping me awake till dawn and another can in the morn, falling asleep in between piles of books which probably equated to the same amount I had spent on my rent, memorize equation, facts and dates right down to the letter, half of which I'd never remember and half of which I'd forget straight after the exam and before the start of the next semester, asking anyone if they had notes for the last lecture. I often found myself running to class just so I could find a spot on which I could rest my head and fall asleep without making a scene. Ironic, because that's the only time I ever spent in university chasing my dreams. And then after nights with a dead mind, I then find myself in a queue of half-awake student zombies waiting to hand in an assignment. Maybe that's why they called it a deadline.
Now to the growing debate over whether college is really worth it. In fact, the cost of college has increased roughly 25% over the past decade alone. The average 4-year tuition at a public university, $56,000 for 4 years. For a private school, $140,000 for 4 years. And if you need to borrow money, boy, the news only gets worse. Americans owe, listen to this, close to $830 billion in student loan debt. That is more than the national credit card debt. Who knew that?
Where were you accepted?
NYU, which was such a dream. I was dancing that day, floating in air, you know. You feel really proud because that's what you set out to do.
Why didn't you go?
Well, to ask my parents to pay such a high tuition just didn't seem fair.
The entire educational system of this country needs to be making a stronger case than we have made for why we, as a society, the government, private funders need to be investing in education in a way that we are not at this point, or all the things that we hold dear are going to slip away.
My mind was running, screaming, shaking, collapsing in on itself again. When you're in that place and your perception is collapsing like that, those old thoughts kept coming back again. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not enough. So I walked up and I approached the railing to the overpass. I walked along it, I looked over. I came to a light post on my left-hand side and I stopped. Should I hang in there for just one more day? That's a phrase that people always seem to ask themselves when they're suicidal, I've found.
My name is Kurt, and 2 weeks ago I completed my undergraduate degree, and in 3 days I'll be starting grad school. And a friend of a friend who I didn't know very well started saying, I don't see myself having a future, I don't see myself living very long, I cannot see myself having a profession or a job or a family. It was really an odd statement for us, and we began to ask him, questions about where this was all coming from, We thought, is there something that, we should know? Are you sick? Is there something that you haven't told me? It began to dawn on us that it might be that he was thinking about taking his life. Well, we had to decide for ourselves what action we wanted to take. And we knew we weren't prepared to help him, but we knew a social worker who would be. And so we said, we need to call her. And that was a little scary because, this is late at night, it's the weekend, and we're going to be really taking her, on her personal time. But at the same time, we had his life to consider, and we said nothing outweighed the value of his life. Nothing was more valuable than that. So we said, we're making the call. So while we stayed talking to our friend, one of my friends made the phone call to the social worker, told her what was going on, and said, this is what's happening. And she said, put him on the phone. She got him connected with supportive services, and we stayed with him that night, and we didn't leave him alone. And after that, he got connected to those supportive services.
By redefining the education system that focuses on the creative and critical thinking aspects of learning, create more adequate and feasible financial opportunities for students to pay for their college education, and instituting more mental health, suicide prevention, and social services on college campuses across the country.
Take it in, but don't look down. 'Cause I'm on top of the world. Hey! I'm on top of the world.